Welcome back, everyone. Four-legged plague here once again with another rant and reason. Today we are going to be cleaning two new to me. They're not new, but they're new to me. Boomsticks. These are shotguns. I just bought two shotguns for an incredibly good deal a couple days ago, and I have yet to clean them. This one right here, I actually have three of these now. This is an 870 12 gauge with I want to say a 30-inch barrel, and they came as a package deal, so that was part of the reason that I got this. But this is not a 12 gauge, it is a 10 gauge. Look at that massive hole. This is a beast of a gun. I never ever figured I would own something like this. Like, look at the nice color on that. Case hardened finish. This is an absolute cannon. There are a lot of people who shoot guns on a regular basis that don't want these because they kick so hard. Just a freaking cannon. But anyways, I thought I'd give you just a life update while I clean these and do a little bit of ranting. You know, most of the stuff that I rant about, again, is about stuff that I've got going on in my life and that I'm dealing with, or that problems that I'm seeing other people deal with in regards to dogs, and just sit here and BS with you guys, basically. So, to start off, in case you don't already know, my wife had twin boys. Life has been amazing with them. I could not be happier. I always wanted to be a dad, and when our time came, I was just ecstatic. The hardest thing the thing that's been the hardest to get used to is the lack of sleep. You know, having two of them, having one of them is hard enough, but having two is just crazy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm not gonna ever complain about my kids, especially not to anybody else. But the lack of sleep has been pretty insane, to say the least. But we love them so much. We get lots of attention when we go out. People, oh my gosh, you guys have twins? I knew somebody who had twins. Or I had twins and they were the best. Or some people are on the opposite end. They're like, oh, it was the worst. I never got any sleep. But you know, that's where I've talked in some of my other videos about how disgusted I get when people talk about kids like, oh, they're a bunch of little snot-nosed crap factories. They're a bunch of little monsters. And it's just like, I think the hatred of kids is a psychological disorder. It's becoming more and more prevalent. People don't grow up with responsibility, so they associate responsibility and work with punishment. You know, and I had that to a certain extent. When I was a kid, I didn't have to do chores. I didn't have an allowance. My parents were like, oh, we want, as a lot of the Gen Xers were, they were like, we want them to have an easier life than our parents ever gave us. And so then what do? They spoil their kids. And then in turn, the kids think they're special. And they turn out to be spoiled, rotten brats. Which is, extremely prevalent nowadays. All of these millennials that feel like they've been disenfranchised by this society. And I'm not going to get too far into it. But, the idea that the promise that you'll be able to get a job, work 40 hours a week, and be able to afford a living. And like a lot of us can't. Like my wife and I would have a really hard time making it on one income. And she has 2 college degrees. And they're good degrees. I have a little bit of, after high school, I have a little bit of extra schooling. But I don't have any degrees. And that may change in the future. But right now, I'm working a crappy factory job. Hang on just a second. I am losing my focus. But the hatred of children is, and I've talked about this in my video, the replacing of children with dogs. People say, oh, well, if I want something to take care of, I'll get a dog. And you see so much of that. And it's just sickening to me when, my 2 little boys are they're my world. And I can't stand it. I cannot stand it when I hear people that talk all these crap on kids. And it's like, well, for one thing, like, you were a kid at some point in time. So what you're saying is hypocrisy. Because at some point in time, you were a snot-nosed brat. And you relied on your parents or somebody above you for everything. And you took away somebody else's freedom and money and blah blah blah. And people get it twisted when I say this. Like, oh, so you're telling me that the only way to be happy is to have kids? You shouldn't be telling other people what to do. I am absolutely not saying that having kids is the only way to be happy, or that everyone should have kids. I think a lot of people shouldn't have kids. I think that there are lots of people who need to learn to keep their legs closed until they've got a job and they're married and they have health insurance and they'll be able to give those kids a good life. I mean, in an ideal world, we would all be brought up in something like that. I wasn't. My parents were pregnant at 18, not married. They decided to get married, and my mother lost her mind, and it lasted about 10 years. Losing her mind was unrelated to getting married. And I'm not saying that one was the cause of the other, just for clarification. But it just drives me nuts when I hear people that talk crap on kids because they're the future. They're humans. And people, especially among the dog nut crowd, I see this attitude. The whole kids are just snot-nosed pieces of crap. And a lot of those dog people, they also hate adults. It's not just kids, but it's especially kids. And it's seemingly more and more socially acceptable to hate kids. And I just am disgusted by it. Having two children of my own, it is so rewarding. And when you see the wheels turning in their brain when they start to develop a little further. And you see them like make eye contact with you and smile for the first time. And it's just the fulfillment that raising children brings is just, there's nothing else like it. There really isn't. Especially not a flea-bitten, worthless, carcass scavenging mutant. And anybody who says otherwise or tries to compare the two has a mental disability, has a mental disorder. Here we go. Nice. I've had these guns for like 2 days now. And they're shining up nice, which is good. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, the other thing I wanted to talk about that I can really rant about is, and it's dog related. Hang on just 1 second. Sorry to keep making you guys wait. I don't ever rehearse these or write scripts for these. It's just kind of as I go. My in-laws live in a suburban area. Nice little area. And they have dogs, but they are very respectful. When I come over, they'll put the dog away, or they won't let the dog jump on me, which I can appreciate. Oh my gosh. And, you know, that's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to pet the dog, and they're fine with that. And as much as I would love that there were no dogs, if you never ever go inside of another person's house who owns dogs, then you're going to have to cut like half the people out of your life. And that's simply not possible. At least not for me. I don't know if it is for you. And I love I really love my in-laws. They're wonderful people. This is not, I'm not taking a dig on them. This isn't about them. But it is kind of ironic that, what was that loose? It's kind of ironic that people who own dogs are being terrorized by other people who own dogs. And the people who own the big bad dogs are just not being held accountable whatsoever. So my mother-in-law has a garden that they tend to from time to time. It'll be, you know, when they're picking their harvest of the year. And the neighbors have this big dumb German shepherd that they call, well, I'm not even going to mention the name because names are for humans, and I'm not trying to humanize this worthless mutant. But my mother-in-law was outside with some kids, and the dog came over and started growling at him off leash, owner nowhere to be found. Dog started growling at him, trying to bite him. Had to go inside. And this is just another one of those examples of dogs, people bringing dogs into human territory, and those dogs attacking people for doing regular human activities. Things that are not deliberately provoking to the dog. So the dog has attacked several people. The owners of the home have a drug addict, good for nothing son, who's like in his late 40s. He still lives with him. All he does all day is just, sell and plot to find another way to get the powder, get the yayo, get the stuff. And they don't see anything wrong with him. He's not doing anything wrong. Our son would never commit anything wrong. And he's just, that whole family is just the terror of the neighborhood. The parents are the ones that own the house, but they're enabling all this BS to go on. So anyways, the dog that they have, they just, they'll just let it off leash and it'll just run around the neighborhood. And the neighbor across the street from my in-laws, that dog has come into his yard, and he's super, super particular about his lawn. He has like OCD over his lawn. And the dog will go over there and mess with that. And everyone in the whole neighborhood has just had it. They've called animal control like 3 times. And animal control just says, we can't, this is what they said. They said, we can't give them a warning unless somebody has it on camera. Or somebody had it. They, there are enough witnesses besides just the person who's calling. So they didn't even bother coming down there. You got a big flipping dog that's terrorizing a neighborhood because somebody wanted to own a mutant animal like that. And that just is a tragedy that the laws in this country allow you to do something like that. Dogs like that should just be shot on sight, in my opinion. I'm not telling you to go shoot dogs. I'm not telling you to do anything. But it is of my opinion that large, off-leash dogs like that should be legal to shoot on sight. Should be legal. Yeah, come on. But, yeah, this big flipping mutt has just terrorized the neighborhood. It's attacked my in-laws' dogs. It's attacked them. Those people who own it had somebody come over to like get something, and the dog trapped them in the garage and was just growling and snarling at them. Wouldn't let them leave the garage. It's like, here we go again. Never thought this could happen. And these people, the dog gets shot. Oh, a dog would never do that. The other thing I was going to make is I've been watching these videos of, it's called Police Activity. It's a non-monetized channel that releases dash cam footage of police dealing everything from people getting arrested to high-speed chases to police having to actually shoot people. And the whole entire channel, is just police encounters. Try some more on that. And a lot of times you go to the comments section and some whack job will have gone into a convenience store with a chainsaw, and the cops go there, they try to arrest him, he fights them, and then they take him out. That's a lot of what goes down. That's just an example of what goes down. But you go to the comments section and people, God bless these officers, for keeping our communities safe. Or somebody will be like, this could have been your community. and you're so quick to judge these officers for firing on this individual when you weren't there and you don't know what happened. And a lot of support for the police officers, other than like the very rare occasional video where it was footage of a police officer who shot somebody maliciously and ended up being charged. There's a few of them on there, but the connection here, the point I wanted to make was, like, when it's videos of people being shot, you go to the comments section, and what do you find? God bless these officers. So glad these officers could protect the people that are in their community. But then on the flip side, when you've got a mindless carcass scavenging mutant that is terrorizing the neighborhood that shouldn't even be there in the first place. You know, like all these people who ended up getting shot by the cops, they had just as much right as you and I to exist in society. They just decided to make some really dumb choices, or they, unfortunately, some of them from suffering from mental issues, mental disabilities, disorders that cause them to commit violent acts, and they end up getting shot. They end up paying for it, and that's unfortunate. But go to any video where a dog attacked somebody, and it's not going to be that clear cut. It's not going to be that God bless these officers, blah, blah, blah. Because a lot of times when you see cops shoot somebody and they got it on camera, if somebody's running towards you with a knife, their intentions are clear. They're not just coming to shake your hand. Because humans, generally, do not beat each other to death with their bare hands. If somebody is charging a cop and they don't have a weapon, and the cop shoots them, most of the time, it's not going to hold up in court because you were not in an immediate threat, life-threatening situation of one man beating another full-grown man to death. Unless they had him like by the neck or something and the police officer was clearly losing the fight. But the argument that, oh, you didn't need to shoot when someone was clearly charging the police officers with a knife or pointing a gun at them, pretty much nobody questions that. Some people do, but most don't. But when it's a dog, the dog is a lethal weapon. So my question is, like, when the dog, back up, when the dog charges somebody, these crazy, like, doo-doo brain dog nuts, oh, he just wanted to play. Because in their mind, his intentions were, the dog's intentions were one thing. And in the police officer's mind, they're thinking, I'm not going home tonight with holes in my arm, in my neck. So my question is, if a dog is a lethal threat just from running towards somebody, that would mean that it's also a lethal threat just by being in the room. And if it's a lethal threat by being in the room, then it should not be in human territory. Okay. There's the point I wanted to make. I hope you're all doing good. I know this was a very disorganized video. These Rant and Reason videos are just all I have time for right now, because having 2 boys and a full-time job is all of my time. And then some. But I hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you like my new cannons. My new boomsticks. This thing is so sweet. Look at how long this is. This thing is so long. Actually, I should measure this. Hang on. This cannon is almost 52 inches long. So over 4 feet long. Pretty crazy. And it's just a single shot, but it'll fire 2 ounces of lead at 1,300 feet per second. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I like to check in with you guys from time to time just to let you know that haven't given up on our community. I don't get as much time to do things as I used to. And I make no promises, you know, one way or another, where I'm going to put out a certain number of videos a month or a year or whatever. Right now, it's just kind of touch and go as I can. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.